Thank you, Zimbabweans, for supporting Zimwaves TV. If you love what we do, partner with us by clicking the join button. Now let's get into the latest episode of ZANU PF Eats Its Own. Blessed. Geza is back, again holding his second press conference in a week with HSTV. And this time he's not just rattling cages, he's setting the whole ZANU PF structure on fire. He's declared that no one in the party can fire him, and has vowed to remove Mnangagwa, his children, and all the corrupt chefs bleeding Zimbabwe dry. From exposing Minister Garwe's murky past as a Cellist scout, to calling the finance minister a failed banker robbing the poor with taxes, Geza left no stone unturned. But perhaps the biggest bombshell? He apologized to Zimbabweans for helping remove Mugabe and install Mnangagwa, calling it a mistake. And to top it all off, he says war veterans are ready to liberate Zimbabwe once again. Watch the full press conference here.
Good evening, fellow Zimbabweans. I am Blessed Geza, known to many as Vows. I'm joined by fellow colleagues who will address you. However, since our address last week, the leadership crisis in our country has been laid bare. Things have deteriorated economically, morally, and legally. And we therefore believe it will be unjust, unfair, and irresponsible on our part to remain silent or not to act. It is important for us to chart a course of action which will redeem us a nation and restore our future. Let me, from the onset, make a few things very clear. I'm a ZANU PF Central Committee member. Hakuna anondidzinga brutamba. A war veteran and former member of parliament. We have served this country with distinction. As I speak, I represent fellow Zimbabweans with ZANU PF members, disgruntled but afraid to speak. And there are many of them, members of the security forces who sacrificed their lives for Operation Restore Legacy. That has yielded nothing for their families. And I also speak for the poor and forgotten, whose dreams and hopes have been crushed by a clueless and hopeless government of corrupt and greedy individuals led by Emerson Mnangagwa and his children. Yes, his children we have become de facto prime ministers in this country. It's not a secret. I wish to firstly apologize to all of you for being one of the people who worked hard and invested a lot of personal resources to oust the former President Robert Mugabe, the late, from power and usher in Mnangagwa into office. I am deeply sorry, and with hindsight now, I regret this. We replaced Mugabe with a monster, a Korokoza. It is us who gave you Mnangagwa. We put you in State House with the hope that you would reset our country on a path of recovery, respect the Constitution, and give our people hope. As soon as he had the taste of power, he escalated corruption, forgot the people, and remembered only his family. Mnangagwa has also surrendered state power to his wife and children. We are sadly seeing history repeating itself. We can't allow that to happen. Why now, some people would ask? Why not now? We as war veterans are trained, disciplined soldiers. Even when we are unhappy, we are not quick to take action. We follow the line of command. We engage with the hope of solving matters without bringing shame to our leaders. I assure you, we have tried this, But we've come to a conclusion that we've come to a conclusion that it's not possible to bring desired change from within a ZANU PF, which has lost all values and principles, is encompassed by our wartime mantra, Gutsa Rushinji. Not Gutsa Mnangagwa Nembava dzake. Many in ZANU PF today are chancers, looters, and with no moral canvas or compassion. Ask yourself honestly today, who owns the most mines in the country? Who has the biggest houses today? Who has the top jobs? Who are our ministers today? Imbava idzodzi. Kuvedu vana vaishaitawo chii. We fought for a Zimbabwe where everyone would have a seat on the table. Not for these chiefs we now call Mbinga or Gananda. Men died as we fought the former colonial oppressors. Our people died. Our colleagues died and lie in unmarked graves. All these who are dead had hope for a prosperous Zimbabwe. That dream ahead has been lost because of a few thieves clothing themselves with borrowed robes of power. We the people of Zimbabwe are the owners of those robes, and we are here to take them back. This past week, one of the West finance ministers, a Laos beggar of note, Mutulu Ngwe, announced silly measures which he said were aimed to bring formalization of the economy. One of his ideas was to give vendors POS machines on the roadside. The other was to cut supplies to vendors from manufacturers. These measures have nothing to do with fixing the economy, but enriching Mnangagwa and his thieves. As we speak, one of the crooks already is a tender to supply the POS machines. Another will be the middleman. He has already taken clearance and will be buying from the manufacturers, then inflate the prices before selling to vendors. These measures will do nothing but make life harder for the ordinary Zimbabweans. It looks like ED has established a ministry of pain and suffering for the majority in his office. Vanhu vakavhoterwa shuwa havarari vachifunga kuti toita sei kuti tiomesere masi. Because there are no jobs. People are working as vendors to feed their families. Mutuli, who through his failed Barbican bank, is back again to make us suffer. No. This cannot be allowed to happen. Civil servants are now civil slaves, working for peanuts, day in and day out. What kind of reward system do we have that does not recognize skill, education, and work delivery? Everyone in government except my chef earns $200. What kind of witchcraft is that? In all this madness, the son of Mnangagwa, a mere soldier, drives to work in a Rolls Royce. How does this make other soldiers feel? Even the army generals, a dedicated man in uniform, can't afford that car. Where is that money coming from? It's being looted from our national coffers, resource bank. Mnangagwa must stop behaving like a kindergarten in a kid store. We invite him to take stock of his mental faculties and that of his ministers before it's too late. Imagine, how do you keep a minister in office after she openly insults your vice president? Tatenda Mavetera, whose only qualification to that job is not having any qualification, is the audacity to call General Chiwenga a decorated war hero, Mpanduki, right? And an acting president in that matter. We are in shock that this can happen. We have Daniel Garwe, a person who is on mental health medication, a former salute scout in the Rhodesian army, who shot at us. We fought to liberate us from colonial rule, but now a minister. And once again, fighting from the wrong side of history. Let me make it clear, we as war veterans in the general public of Zimbabwe, our Pope, we have the right to remove Mnangagwa from office because it is us who took him to State House. Who does not know that Mnangagwa fled this country with just his son and his cousin? Tonzwa vanhu vachiimba vachiti garwe raiombera richitukwa chii muchiimba rikapedza rava muofisi. Imbai muchiti garwe raiombera rikapedza ratiza. Tisu takaridzosa. Asikazivi kuti angatiza ndiani. Where were you, Garwe, when the men you seek to defend was border jumping? Were you not at ZANU PF headquarters singing and dancing while he was being insulted? Now you want to behave as a brave man, calling us Isu, takarwira nyika ino, anaboki. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Inwa mapirisi ako ekupenga wakanyarara. Kana usisina mapirisi ako ekupenga, kumbira una Mnangagwa akutengere. Pengera kwa wakaroiwa. Sadly, Mnangagwa, you allow this nonsense to happen. You allow Mavetera to insult an acting president at national events, insulting in general. How dare? This shows that Mnangagwa, you are behind this disrespectful act. It's clear you are on a frolic of your own. You are going there while living our values and ethos. Zimbabweans, it's within our power to stop this nonsense. Mnangagwa has gone wrong and go he must. We invited him to go peacefully, but instead he is digging in and continues to push the unconstitutional agenda of 2030. The only 2030 you will see is 8:30 on the clock. Just yesterday, we saw images of drunk youths, some of them who failed to attend a decent education because of poor governance under Mnangagwa, singing and toy-toying to 2030 slogans. They were led by one disgraced lawyer, Goodwill Masimurembwa, a non-land baron. Masimurembwa, toda uziva kuti wakadzingwa ne-law society, wakadzingirwa chii? Corruption. Your practicing license was cancelled because waidya mari the trust account, the clients. And you have no room in ZANU PF. Yatinoziva is not yenye chitsotsi. Just look at the time and Mnangagwa keeps. Surely it reflects on the man. He is. Once we free Zimbabwe, we will ensure these kids have access to education and good jobs so that they can afford themselves and their children a better future. Poverty delays democracy. It's time we eradicate it. Some have insisted that we have masters. Bullshit. The insinuation is that we have been sent by Vice President Chiwenga to do this. Nothing can be further from the truth. The fact that we stand for war against corruption, nepotism, and misgovernance. For your information, I don't know when I last met General Chiwenga. I don't have even his contact numbers, right? Saka mnofuka kuti hatifungi. You think more veterans hafungi neongotumwa, right? Ndo zvamunoita vinhu kuvanhu veopposition. Ye muri kutumwa namaBritish, muri kutumwa namaAmericans. Saka you think Zimbabweans can't think. Ngazvipere izvozvo. We have been sent by the same people who sent us to the liberation struggle in the 70s, our povo. We speak for them once again, and possibly the last time. We are ashamed that our people can begin to say 45 years after independence that Smith was better. We can't allow a few people to rubbish our contribution to the freedom of this country as they behave like the minister were removed from power. We can't allow black-skinned colonial masters to ruin the future of the majority. This is why the number of people who are joining our cause is growing by the day. We have the backing of the majority of Zimbabweans, excluding Matsotsi. Those in the diaspora are with us. We know the diasporians, you love your country. You want to come back and contribute to your country's future. We will redeem ourselves before we die. We will free this country once again so that you can stop being economic slaves in lands that don't treat you well. We want to build a country where everyone matters, where our resources benefit not the few but the majority. A nation where the means everyone, not just a few corrupt individuals. To all those who think we are afraid, those who think they can silence us, please read my lips in case you miss my words. Look at my face. Do you see any fear? Do you think you can scare us? Bullshit. Some have been holding meetings to inject us from ZANU PF. You think you can fire us from our party, which we brought with our own blood? Where were you? You were busy salute scouting, right? Killing our comrades, killing our masses, right? This ZANU PF is ours. It is you who will be leaving the party in the next few weeks. Mark my words. Watch this space. I want to tell you this, here and now. We don't care. We are ready to face you head on. What we want to build is a nation where our entrepreneurs like Wanasirai Masiwa and others feel free and happy to be home. A nation where political players are not exiled and not being rendered stateless by individuals. We have captured the justice system for their own ends. We want a judicial system that is not held hostage but serves as the defender of the poor and weak against a predatory state. Everyone, Zimbabwe, is needed to build this nation. Only a united people can restore this Zimbabwe. The power is ours. My last statement is to say, Mnangagwa, you have failed this nation. You have failed us. And you have succeeded to put your family on the fore as one of the worst, the most hated in the history of the world. You can redeem yourself by doing the right thing. Step down. Free this country from incompetence. Your lack of probity has preceded you.
Now let's break this down. Geza didn't just wake up and choose violence. He chose full-scale political warfare. He made it clear that Mnangagwa's days are numbered and that his entire dynasty, kids included, must go. In other words, the very people who once chanted Defying are now saying ED finished. And then he went for Minister Garwe, calling him out as a former Celis scout who once fought against liberation forces under Ian Smith. The irony is almost poetic, from fighting against the liberation struggle to now pretending to be its champion. Then came the grand takedown of the Minister of Finance, whom Geza branded a failed banker turned economic hitman. He accused him of punishing the poor through excessive taxes while helping the elite siphon national resources. It's daylight robbery, but instead of ski masks, they're wearing designer suits. But the real jaw-dropper? Geza's public apology for helping remove Robert Mugabe. Yes, folks, he finally admitted that the so-called Second Republic was just a recycled dictatorship with a worse economic track record. Hindsight is 20/20, but Zimbabweans saw this disaster coming long before the coup cheerleaders did. And then, the final warning shot. War veterans are ready to fight again. The same people who once defended Mnangagwa are now preparing to remove him. When the war vets turn, history tells us things tend to spiral fast. So, what's next? Will Mnangagwa fight back? Or is this the beginning of the end for his faction? Stay locked on Zimwaves TV, because when the ZANU PF soap opera delivers plot twists, we make sure you don't miss a single episode.
Munoda kusiya nyika, yatani agenda.